This is a 1972 M110 2.8 liter 6-cylinder carbureted Mercedes engine. This is not just any M110, however. This is the original matching numbers engine that was in my car when it was first sold. Now my car is a W114 280 that had a 300D diesel engine put in it sometime in the mid-80s, and this engine was taken out of the car, and somehow a few days ago I have found it. Why would anyone take such a good engine outside the car and replace it with a diesel? You see, in the 1980s, diesel was much cheaper than petrol, and this engine needed a rebuild. So when it was removed from the car, it was replaced by an OM617 300D diesel. But how on earth does someone find an engine that has been taken outside their car 35 years ago, you might wonder? The answer is completely by accident. You see, a few days ago I needed to change the differential fluid on the 114, and I went to a mechanic nearby who I knew had the proper tool to open the two bolts on the differential. The mechanic lended the tool to me. I went home, did my job, and on my way back to the mechanic I took the 114 because I didn't have another car. As soon as I arrived there, we started talking about the car, and he says, "Do you know that this car used to be a petrol?" And I say, "Yes, I do, and every time I think about the engine this car used to have in it, I get angry and I want to put the engine back inside the car." And I go like, "Do you know of any place I can find the original engine of the car, not the matching numbers engine, the original engine, the specific model, to put back in the car and make it into a 280 again?" The mechanic smiled and he goes, "Come back here, I'll show you something." We head to the back side of the garage and he points an engine at me. And I say, "What's this?" And he goes like, "This is your car's original engine, and I was the mechanic who took the old engine out and put the 300D back in it, because this mechanic used to fix our cars many years ago. So in the 1980s he was the one who took this engine out and he put the 300D in it, and he still had it sitting outside his garage since 1985. So I was pretty shocked, and I go like, "In the afternoon I will come and get this engine. Do you mind?" And he says, "No, I do not mind. That's why I'm telling it to you, because this engine has been taking place in my garage for a long time, so you can take it and do whatever you want with it." So yes, now it's here, so I think it's time to have a look around it and see everything that's missing and the state that this engine is in, which is pretty bad. So how does an engine that has been sitting at the mechanic's shop for 35 years look? Now, it is safe to say that this engine has definitely been used for spare parts. Now, the most obvious things that are missing are the carburetors and the distributor, and many other things that I probably cannot tell right now, because this is the first time I actually see an M110 in person. Now, as you can see, the studs on the intake manifold are bent, but that's not a huge deal because the intake manifold can always be changed. And the missing carburetor also isn't a big deal, because a missing carburetor can be changed for a bigger carburetor, so that's actually a good thing. But the bad thing is that because the carbs are missing, the intake manifold is full of dust, which probably means that the cylinders are also full of dust and probably water. And when water makes its way into the cylinders rust. However, the intake manifold was underneath a wall, so there is a small possibility that not a lot of water has made its way down the engine. but I'm pretty sure it's going to be rusted anyway due to condensation, because if an engine sits without a carburetor and with an open exhaust, humidity makes its way through the exhaust and the intake manifold into the cylinders and things rust apart. Although we took a look on the top part of the engine through the oil cap, and we've seen that there is not a lot of rust. There is actually no rust in there, which is a very good sign, because a lot of times engines that have been sitting outside and the cylinders are rusted, that condensation will make its way up on the top part of the engine, and it will also rust the cams and the lifters, and we can see no rust in there, so that's a good sign. So yeah, that's how an engine that has been sitting at a mechanic for 35 years looks like. So this is everything for this video. I hope you have found it interesting. On the next episode, we are going to be removing the spark plugs of this engine and inserting a borescope down the cylinders. A borescope is a small camera that goes inside the cylinders through the spark plug holes, and it helps to see what the condition of the cylinders is like in the engine. So that's what we are going to be doing on the next episode. It's going to be very interesting to see how an engine that has been sitting outside for 35 years looks on the inside. And on the episode after that, regardless on how the engine looks on the inside through the camera, this engine is going to be torn apart down to the block. The pistons are going to be removed, everything is going to be removed, and we are going to take a deep look at how an engine looks on the inside after it has been sitting for so long. So if you are interested in watching that, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.